Good morning. Grace Sullivan, beauty brand copywriter and brand strategist, is here, and we're going to have fun. We both have our drinks in hand because we always, that was our part of our pre show discussion. Like, we always have something that we have to sip on. So sometimes for me, it's my sparkly water bottle. Sometimes it's my cup of coffee. Yeah, you're well supplied as well. So,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you. It's 7 in the morning your time, so I know what that can do. What it can be like. I wasn't rolling out of bed this morning until 7:15. So, I was like, do I have to?
No, thanks for having me. Would always love jumping on with you. And we had our conversation, about a month ago. We
Oh
met
my
at
god.
TCC IRL. So why not just jump on and talk to you in a box at 7 a.m.
Why
Sounds like
not? Yeah. And so you've had like a really interesting past. You went from in-house and then you went out on your own, and now you have some interesting news. But do you want to talk a little bit about like how you got here?
Yeah, no. And then again, yeah, thanks for having me, Erin. Always lovely to chat. Yeah, so basically, actually, my background, we had a little bit of a chat about this previously, but my background is actually in journalism and PR, and that's sort of where my, career dream started because in school, I was never really good at anything but writing. So, I don't know if any other copywriters can relate to that. So you kind of think about how you monetize that. So, basically as a kid I was like, I'm going to be a news anchor, I'm going to be on the news anchor desk, I'm going to be like the 6 o'clock newswoman. So yeah, that carried out. I worked in radio and broadcasting and communications, and in about 2020, 2019, 2019 for sure, I had like it was just festering, but I had some festering burnout that was going on. And as we all kind of did, and I just sort of ignored it until the pandemic hit. And that was an exciting time. I was doing some PR for a company in Vancouver that basically worked for the supply chain, and it was mat leave coverage. And everyone in every industry during the pandemic basically like had a lot of stuff going on. And that contract was coming up, and I discovered basically a YouTube algorithm rabbit hole because it kind of came
Love
as
those, by the way. Like,
yeah, like as we all did during March 2020, and a bunch of Vancouverite as well, Alex Catani's videos came up in regards to copywriting. So I guess I had been kind of looking at things to do, and this contract in communications was coming up. I needed a bit of a break, so I started binging on her videos, and I honestly enjoyed her spunk as a human being. So, and that she was from Vancouver, and I started watching her videos and like reading the books that she recommended, and decided to become a copywriter in October, November 2020, and have been kind of doing that ever since. And yeah, I'm going back to full time as well, starting in a couple weeks, but still working on my business. But as you know, things evolve as humans. But yeah, I kind of started in the PR sector, and it kind of took me to here. So sometimes I think it's a bit of a different path, but I've recently actually, when I said that, I recently said that I had met like a bunch of PR people who are now copywriters too. So I guess it's not as uncommon as I thought.
well, I think the skills translate. I've done some PR in the past as well and done some communications, but it's all about the angle, right? It's all about figuring out what the angle is and how to get people. But there's an amazing number of people who have come into this from an amazing number of different backgrounds. And it's so funny because everyone's like, well, I didn't take a traditional path. And it's like, basically what I'm taking from this is that there is no traditional path to copywriting. Like, you figure out what you're passionate about, what you enjoy, and then it's like, cool, I'm a decent writer, I can turn some stuff into copy. And it's one of those things that you can so easily learn. And I think, we met at TCC. Favorite one of my biggest takeaways, there's so many from like working with Rob and Kira over the years, is that I sat in on a video. Like, I think it was one of the early TCC presentations that they were sharing videos from. Anyway, so I was looking at some of those, and I can't remember who it was on a panel, got up on stage and said, oh, if you look at anything that you wrote 6 months to 12 months ago and you still like it, you probably haven't grown as a copywriter. There could be this, there could be an outlier that you could still really love. But for the most part, if you're still writing stuff that you would have written 6 months ago, you're, DOA.
Well, that's, I find, like, first of all, going to TCC IRL, that 2022 was my first one, and it was
live. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I didn't make it to the 2021 one, but the 2022, because that one was virtual. But the 2022 one, like, I kind of walked away with, like, wow, everything is an experiment, including your career path and copywriting. And I've kind of learned that, like, even since we last talked, like, things evolve in people's lives and you change, and a little bit of it's skill, a little bit of it's, most of it's skill, most of it's background, but like, it's a little bit luck, it's a little bit where you're at in your life as well. And like, no path, I know it sounds so ridiculous, like so cliche, but like, no path is the same. And it really takes the pressure off when I'm like, it's just an experiment and we're just out here trying to figure out what we're doing. And yeah, I don't know what you wrote 6 months ago, but I had really like some really cutesy copy that I was going for some of the beauty brands that I was working for. And now I'm like, I need to write some more like conservative, like formal copy to like be evaluated by industry, to be taken seriously, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like where was I 6 months ago? 6 months ago I was in an interesting place. Gosh, was that only 6 months ago?
I know.
Thinking back, like January, I had been launching my course, Womp Womp, I'd really put all my efforts into working on it August, September, October. And then I still had some projects going on, but I also found myself running kind of tight in some of my retainers. Like they were running out and I hadn't put in the work to renew them that I mean, shame on me. And I hadn't been doing a whole lot of new business development. And all of a sudden I was like, I don't have a whole lot for the end of the year, but not a big deal. It's the end of the year. I want to take it easy. But I also didn't have anything for January. And so I was pitching like mad. But some of the pitches that I wrote, I used too many other people's input. And like it was really, really interesting because it felt inauthentic to me. It was fine writing, but it's like looking back, I would never write those same pitches again. There was nothing inherently wrong with them. It's just not what felt right to me. So, I think we all fall through that though, where it's like, is this good enough? All these other people, da 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 da, and it's like in the end, it still has to feel real. It still has to feel good to you.
Yeah, and like that's how I feel as well. Like, little copywriter club. Loving that.
I grabbed. It's apropos though.
I have not. I meant to grab the notebook while I was there, and then at the last, our last like cocktail party, there was.
Sorry.
Okay, I need to email like Kira and Rob because I'm a notebook freak. But where were we? Oh yes, I know what you mean.
Same. I'm all over.
That's my life. This is how you talk to me.
This is why we get along. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's why we're here, right? Yeah, I find too, like sometimes the feedback, like I love feedback from like people I value, but like, isn't there that thing like don't take feedback from people that you wouldn't normally, like, don't ask for advice from people you wouldn't ask for in your regular life. And I love getting feedback. I am not going to lie. I think it's amazing, but at the same time, like you have to go with your gut,
Yeah. And I think that's it. Is like, it's scary too. It's like, what feedback from these amazing humans am I going to take with a grain of salt? And what am I going to embrace? And because you absolutely need the feedback. Otherwise, how are you going to, you can get better as a writer, but the best way to do it is by getting other people's input and say, yes, this resonates. No. Well, it was like, I did a couple podcasts. I've done several podcasts, but what was really interesting to me was hearing as they went live, hearing what resonated with other people. Cause I'd be like, that's interesting. Oh, I had no idea. I thought that was just like stuff rattling around inside my head. But yeah.
I mean, getting the feedback when like, I've gotten like really good feedback, like on like even from like beauty brands too that have been in like the industry longer than me, and they're like, in order, like you need to write more in order to like, I'm always like, I want to blog every week. I want to blog every week for visibility, but there's like every other ball that you have up in the air as a business owner. But like I've had advice from people that has been super valuable for me as well. And at the end of it, you're like, thank you. I need this. I needed this. I needed to hear this. And it gives you that validation too, though. It's humbling to know that, like, well, I know that I don't know anything about anything in life. So it's always great to get feedback and be like, oh, there's so much more to explore in this experiment that we're working through. So feedback is it's always interesting because like it's never personal. It never is.
It's never personal. Yeah, and it's easy to take something when someone's like, oh, by the way, have you considered rewriting these types of sentences this way? You're like, man, I'm a horrible writer. I'm terrible. But that's not the truth. It's just another way to look at things. You don't have to take it. And it's definitely not them saying, you're a terrible writer. It's them saying, have you considered?
But isn't there that phrase too, like write bad copy and then make it better? Like the quote unquote crappy, or other word we might use, the crappy first draft, the shitty first draft.
Yeah. That was a new term to me this year. Someone told me, and I was like, oh, shitty first draft. That's awesome.
Takes the pressure off too, because you're like, oh, I just rewrite this and make it better. It's awesome. And
yeah, a lot of times I use like the phrase words go here. I don't even write it. Like I might drop all my notes in to the different sections that I know I want to include, but then it's like words go here, and I usually highlight them so I know that for sure, like I don't gloss over them when I'm looking back later. But or it's like one sentence goes here, and it's so funny, but it's like, oh cool, because it's like if you're stuck, that gives you permission to move on. There's something else I want to say, but I don't know what it is.
I was going to say this. I was writing some stuff actually for this job that I just got, and I was like, ooh, how should I write this email so it's engaging? And I was like, okay, problem, agitation, solution, outcome. And then and what's the CTA? Okay. And then I was just like, sometimes like you just start writing and you're like, okay, what am I doing here? And like having the framework, like writing the CTA first and then going backward has been like the best
reverse engineer your story and your copy. Yeah,
I always do that now because I find it takes the edge off, or like takes the starting out part. Because if I don't know what my hook is, especially the agitation and the problem, if I don't know what they are, then I'm like, what am I writing right now?
That's interesting. I just did like a personal brand class for a business development team so that they can each become known for what they're doing within their company. And I shared, some of my favorite story writing methodologies, which is like, I didn't even think about PAS as a story writing piece, which is really interesting. Like, I always think about it as like, what's the problem? What's the problem? But it's like, what's the current situation?
Yeah.
What's the current situation? What's the approach to fix it? And what's the outcome? But it's what's the beginning, middle, and end. CTA, and then the headline. But I also like to talk about like the story brand approach with Donald Miller. Have you read that book? If not, like add it to your list, Building a Story Brand. But where it's like the hero, villain, and yes, only mine doesn't have a super fancy cover because my children stole it. So
I am obsessed with this book. I got it from the library. You said that, and I was like, excuse me for just 1 second.
Yes.
This book.
So it's like sometimes it's like we're labeling who the hero is, who the villain is, and who the wise guy is. And sometimes it's not what you think.
Yeah.
But I worry that I may have confused people by giving them so many options. But it's like you need a jumping off point, right? You need some. Yeah. So what's your favorite? Do you use writing prompts ever to kind of?
It depends because I am in my personal life, I'm a big like journal person because in my deep down, I am like a writer. Like my personality to the core is like, like the poor, like I'm the poor starving artist, like to a T. So do I have a writing prompt? Like, I think what I need to do is get all the gunk out of my head before I start writing. So I have to journal Like I have a journaling practice that I do every day. That's about 2 pages. And in order to get started, I just have to like eliminate distractions. But I usually, again, like the writing practice that I do is like I really have to, before getting started with a client, I do have to ask all those questions, like as if that's why I'm like moving towards the brand strategy, everything, because like I need to
work anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to lay the foundation because personally, if I'm delivering a service to somebody, I don't feel like I've done the work if I don't have that market research brand strategy. Like I can write it, but I just don't feel as good about the product. So do I have a writing practice? It really depends. Like sometimes I'm just like ready to go and I can just like start going. But again, I usually start with like I reverse engineer like a CTA. This would be in like an email. An email situation. Web is like, I know you are like the end all be like that is your bread and butter. It used to be mine, but that's a little more grindy for me. So that's like nitty gritty, but I still find like, what are your pain points? Who is your client? Like what problem are you solving? So getting started with clarity is always like really much the first thing, whether it's like peso and like the problem, action, solution, outcome, or, even going back to like I'm reading the brand gap right now, and that one's
one. I don't think I have that one.
It's amazing, and it's amazing, Erin, because it's like the snapshot version, so it's like 194 pages, but like it's mostly like photos, and I can just kind of get through it.
That would work very well with my brain.
Just like this one, it has like actionable steps at the end of the chapter, and I'm like, ooh, this is how I implement it into my business. So anyway, in that book that I'm reading, The Brand Gap, it basically goes like, who is your customer, or like who are you, what do you do, and like what problem are you solving? And sometimes I think as writers and as businesses, like we try to overcomplicate that, and you really got to like take all that away and like really get to the core of things. So I think that's the long answer. I don't really have a practice, but I have tools and processes that I can kind of reach to depending on the clients or what I'm doing that day.
I think that's a really awesome blog series that you should be writing soon. Sorry, my computer just told me that my keyboard is getting low on battery, so I have to plug it in. But it doesn't affect it. I just want to do it while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I think so some of the prompts I gave is like, what drives me crazy? Or because a lot of times I find that even if that's not what you go with as a story, it's easier to figure out your position when you think about what you don't want to be or what you don't want to do. And what's crazy, well, maybe it's not crazy, it feels crazy, is how much that resonates with your audience too. Like, like, I hate it when I hate it when I sign up for a subscription box and I can never figure out how to cancel it. And all of a sudden, like, I'm receiving hand lotion that I never signed up for 6 months. And it's like, well, there's an interesting position for subscription boxes. Make it easy to quit without jumping through hoops.
I don't want to put my credit card number in. Stop. I'm going to forget. I need to put.
I just want to see the meal plan before.
Yeah, I always put like reminders in the calendar because I'm like, remember to cancel this 30-day trial so your credit card doesn't get charged.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon Prime. I railroaded you there though. You had a thought.
No, I mean that's just it. And actually, ironically, I think that Amazon is one of the easiest ones to cancel because it's like cancel. Oh, you're done. It's like thank you. Whereas certain beauty boxes that shall not be named that I'm obsessed with, but like make it very, very difficult to cancel. Very, very
some storage, some business, again, some very famous very popular business tools to store things, store internal files are very hard. So Google Drive, baby, Google Drive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not easy to cancel some of them, but some of them I also don't ever want to cancel.
Yeah, true.
Interesting. Yeah. No, it's fun. We could totally do this again with like brand teardowns of like best practices and
I would love to. I love tearing brands.
But even if it's like brand shall remain anonymous, but by the way, this drives me crazy. Like we could see, I hate it when like what kind of conversation
I mean,
is this open?
not to get all technical, but that's the agitation. Like that's the problem in agitation. And like I always think of like what drives you crazy or like what don't you want to be? There's almost this like it's that like nagging feeling. Like what don't I want to be? Like
Yeah.
what it's just like ugh, or like no, just I don't know how to explain it. It just gives me that like it doesn't give me the ick, but it gives me like that nagging feeling like oh like I hate it. Ugh. You know?
Yeah, I'm making notes right now. Because I'm trying to do our show notes as soon as we do this. So my VA doesn't have to comb through and figure out because my and I think this is ADHD brain. My attention span is like once it's gone, if I immediately jot down notes, then I'll remember it. But if I don't, once it's gone, it's gone.
I mean, you can tell me something to my face, like I'm so bad. Like when I worked in corporate, I was like, please send me an email. Because if I'm in the middle of something and like or
write it down right there. Yeah.
Or like if you send it to me in Slack, it's just gonna go die in the messages in Slack. Like I'm not gonna remember. Please, like
Slack is the best way to sit on top of me and be like, I need this. Because that's one of my things that I check. Otherwise, my team and I have weekly calls where we sit down and it's like, here's what's going on. What do you need from me? And so everyone comes with what they're working on, what they need from me. And it's like, that is an excellent way to like sit on top of me and make me give you answers.
Honestly, like I saw there's this woman I follow and she's like a 6-figure business owner and she has ADHD. And I'm like, the second I'm able to hire this type of person, I'm hiring them. Like she has a person who is super organized, super granular, and like she tells her assistant like what her tasks are or VA like what her tasks are every day. And like this person like checks in on them, like, okay, so like how are you doing on this? And like if she needs to get something done, like we'll hound her to get it done in order to like stay on track. And I am that type of person. Like not always, but sometimes like getting things done like that. Like I need to have this is the journalist in me, but like I need to have that like fire, you know? I need to have that stress in order to get things done. So
it's interesting that you say this. There's when I worked for a design agency several years ago, the owner of the company, and she was one of there were two co-owners. One was on the business side and marketing side, and one was on the design side. So it was this really cool dynamic because none of the business side people, including me, didn't miss the designy stuff. And same with the true creative, like designy people. See, this is my words at work here. This is why I'm a copywriter.
I get it. You're talking in language.
They didn't neglect the business side. So it worked very, very well. But she had printed, and she probably could have sold and can still sell this, but it was like a printable notebook. And so she just had a clipboard and every day was a new day. And at the end of the day, before she left, she'd write out the top 3 priorities for the next day. We had whiteboards that we would like, here's all the projects and where they are in the deadlines. And so those got updated once or twice a week as needed. But like, it's like, here are the priorities. And I wish, like, I wonder if I can go back and get her to take a picture. We talk periodically and I'll send an email, she'll respond and I might respond and then she won't, or vice versa. Or I'll be like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to get back to her. And it just doesn't happen. So it's like once a year or two, we check in. Actually, it's cool. When I was leaving a contract role that just wasn't working anymore, I thought it was all not me. And, as I've gone into building a business, it may have been partly me, like whatever. It just was not a good fit anymore. I was like, what am I going to do? So I called her. She's like, you should write website copy. You're really good at it. And I was like, it took me like a while to come to that same conclusion. But it's funny to me that's.
I mean, I can see on the ADHD side, like I can see the hyperfocus working real well for web copy. And you were talking about lists and stuff. I don't know about you, but like I love a good list because it gives me like when I cross it off, that gives me like a real nice dopamine hit and it makes me feel so productive. I don't know if that resonates for you, but I am a list person.
So much. It's funny.
It's funny how it works.
It's really funny how it works. I'm trying to think. Like, I don't like physical lists so much,
Oh, okay.
but I worked with a company that used Basecamp, and I loved checking off those boxes and seeing the tasks get redlined. And I was like, yes.
I just like the traditional, just like, you know, like those. I do have like those lists as well, like in Notion and stuff, but like they get lost all the time. Like the piece of paper, like the brain dump piece of paper for me is just like, because I'm the writer, like I'm the pen to paper writer. So if I like that noise of like scratching it off, I'm like, yes, I got something done.
Dopamine hit. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, not crazy. Like, I'm not like, wow, you're crazy. No, but like,
I mean, maybe a little
crazy. We all react differently.
Yeah,
to different things. Yeah. I don't know. Are you also the person who leaves things unread in your inbox so you need to respond to them?
well, I will read them and then I'll mark them to unread. Like,
right. Yeah.
I mean, my personal email, if you are going to email me on my personal email, good luck having me respond. Like, sorry to, like, we're straight up the Canadian me right now. Like, sorry, I haven't responded to any of those. In my business emails,
yeah. My personal email has like 175 unread right now. To be fair, part of it's this book club that I'm in that's an all online book club. It's super cool, but we have these discussions online. So I will either, like I'll save them up and I'll respond to them all at once. But still, it gets hairy. And then I get it down to 50 and I'm like, yes, I won.
Yes. I mean, there's the dopamine hit there. Yeah. In my business email, though, I'm better. But if I don't need to reply right away, I don't. Because I find you get it diverts the attention too much and you'll just like spend all day replying to emails.
Yeah, I live in my inbox. I try to like check it every couple of hours. But if I see that there's another number ticking up, I'm like, ooh. But that's how I stay on top of things. I think it's interesting how we've come up with all these different skills.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, like with emails, like I hope to have somebody else just like take that over one day, just so I can just write and talk to clients.
I have anxiety about letting go of that. I don't think I could.
I have like anxiety about like someone having like access to things like that, but I think that that's something that I'm just gonna have to let go because it's this stuff like when I was doing lives and I'm gonna start doing lives again, like I'm literally just copying the system that you had right now because it's like so organized.
So Tiffany Engel?
Yes, I do.
So this is pretty much all the emails that you got when I had her on the podcast. I'm like, so it's gonna look kind of similar.
Okay,
so the emails look real similar, but I mean, I used them with her permission. I was like, hey, can I have your system? Like, can you show me what you do? And then I made it my own. But and I used Dubsado, obviously, not what I can't remember what she uses, Honeybook. So it's different, but it makes so much sense to just, I'm already paying for Dubsado. Why not use it as a specific like project type? It's so when you're ready to, I'll give you a look-see on the inside. There was something I was going to say, and I don't remember what it was, but it was really cool and valid. And I don't know. It's not important. We're just talking. I think we're talking about the different ways. So I don't know. Not important. We're just chatting. But we are getting close to half an hour, which time goes so fast when we chat. Like we can do this all day, any day. Where can people go to find out more about you? And we didn't even hit on like what you're doing now moving forward and how what the decision was to move in-house. So I think we need to reschedule and have another conversation soon. But I did pop all your links in so that they're in the description when people are seeing this video. Where do you like to hang out the most?
Instagram, I would say, is like that's where my beauty people are. So at ecocopygrace, all one word, ECOCOPYGRACE, or email probably secondary hello@ecocopygrace.com.
Cool.
Right now, I'm working on some beauty brand strategy services that will be coming out in the next couple of months. So that's where you'll kind of see me hanging out mostly. Yeah. and LinkedIn a little bit, but if you want to hit me up, just send me a DM on
Instagram. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining me before sane people are up. Certainly before most copywriters are up. And I have had so much fun in our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to chatting again, Erin. And yeah, anytime you want to reach out, let's chat again. But I had a great time talking today.
Likewise. All right. Take care.
Bye.